Every time I try to record myself, it just doesn't sound right. I want to learn how to do it properly. I can't figure out what's going wrong with my settings.
Now, this is a real client session that Tim has very kindly given me permission to use for the channel. If you want to see the full unedited call, I've put the whole thing up for Tier 2 members. And if you'd like to have a call like this, just get in touch. Now, grab a pen and paper, because you're going to want to take notes. This is a much bigger project than I thought when you first contacted me.
Yeah.
So this is what you want to do, is a graphic audio.
My goal is to sort of record it in chunks and put it on a YouTube channel or something like that, just to share with my friends and family. But I want it to sound good, and I want to learn how to do it properly.
You're saying it's going to be around 200,000 words when it's finished?
Correct. Yeah,
That is enormous.
Yeah. Well,
it's not just you narrating a book. You're going to do character voices as well and things like this. And you've got sound effects and music maybe and all kinds of layers. And that's a whole other animal.
Really? Okay.
You're talking sound design there as well as everything else.
Interesting. Okay. So should I perhaps maybe not aim for like ambiance and stuff like that will present an additional layer in terms of this engineering of the whole thing? I also hope to incorporate like sound effects. Is that a slightly less ambitious goal? Is just the occasional sound effect here and there?
I think it should be all or nothing.
Okay.
Because if you just put the odd sound effect here and there, it can surprise you a little bit and sound out of place. But if the whole thing has an underlying ambiance and music and general sound effects happening all the time, you know, like
lots of like computer sounds and like street ambiance is what it was.
So that's the kind of thing that you want going on in the background all the time, just to really immerse the listener in it. The other problem with doing that is where you get those sound effects from.
I was going to just pay for a library.
If you've actually paid for it, then that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, that was my goal. Step 1, write the book. Step 2, record it myself. Surely I can figure it out. Step 3, turn it into a little bit more of an immersive thing with maybe ambiance and sound effects, and then upload it to YouTube. I'm currently in that second step, and that's how I found your videos. And like, feeling like a little bit overwhelmed in terms of like, I don't know, every time I try to record myself and I listen to it, it just doesn't sound right. It sounds like I'm either too far away from the microphone or I'm way close to it, and I can't figure out what's going wrong with my settings. And so I kind of emailed you on a whim, like maybe I can pay for a little bit of insight on how to kind of get started.
Have you got the microphone there? You said it's a Samsung.
Yeah, it's a condenser.
Is it CO1 or?
It's a CO1U.
It's a CO1U. Okay, so that's the USB version.
But yeah, it is what I intended on using to record the voiceover.
This mic is USB, so it's going straight into the computer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're running USB straight into the computer, and when you open up Reaper, the microphone comes up as the input, yeah?
Correct, yes. And I imported your sound effect chain. The ASIO part of it was a little confusing. All that seems to be working. My main thing that seems to be throwing me for a loop is that in my Windows settings where I can decide the input volume for my microphone, I'm not sure what I should have that set to, because my instinct thinks that that should be something I'm fiddling with in Reaper, not in my system settings, right? I don't know.
I wouldn't worry about the system settings. The mic going into Reaper, that should bypass the system settings. It should go direct into Reaper. I was wondering if you could share your screen with me so I could see what's happening in Reaper with the microphone. Sure. Okay, so if you can just set up Reaper for me now, as you would if you were going to record something. Show me what you're doing.
Okay, well, I have a project template that I called Start Here.
Okay,
that
cool.
Includes a track, and on that track is the FS. I didn't know if I was supposed to fiddle with these further, or did they, when I downloaded them from your website and imported them, did they come with your sort of recommended settings?
They should be okay, but I would start off with all of them turned off.
Okay.
It's best to start off completely clean. and
Okay.
only add the effects if you need to. There's no point in adding effects just for the sake of adding effects.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So start off completely clean. Can you record something for me in that?
Sure. This is the test of me trying to speak at a normal volume at about a hang 10 distance from the mic.
Okay. That's quite a low input, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, but if I get nice and close to it, see, and I talk normal, and then all of a sudden it's going above that.
Okay, yeah. The microphone itself, is it actually a front address microphone or is it a side address microphone?
I don't know.
Yeah, you've got a side address. You see how I've got my microphone here?
Yeah.
You're talking into it. If I bring in this is my USB mic that I don't use very often, but you're talking into the front. And you should be talking into the side. Like this. So there should be something on there.
Oh. So should I talk it like into the where the logo is?
Yeah, that's the one. I'll take this off and you can. So I'm speaking into here.
Okay.
And my voice, my mouth is completely level with that. Don't hit the microphone, Richard. If you have it like slightly off center, so that all that, so you don't get all the P's and that kind of stuff, you've got a little foam pop filter on it.
I have one of those ones that you have too, that screen pop filter.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah, I have that exact one. So I've got it here now where when I talk into it, it'll be.
Try that again and see what.
Okay. This is a test of me speaking at a normal speaking voice that I would use for my book.
Okay, that is a little better. I can see just by the waveform. You're speaking into the right part of the mic now.
Yeah,
this is more common than you would imagine.
I would have never have known. I just figured it was just picking things up from all around. But that's great. Okay.
No, a microphone has what's called a cardioid pattern, where it picks up everything in front of the mic, but not behind the mic. It's a condenser mic, so it has a very, very sensitive diaphragm inside that picks up the sound. So the room for you might be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So I have a bunch of the soundproofing tiles. Another thought would be I could just go into this, like into a closet or something like that is less wide open. Should that be a big priority to like create a more soundproof environment or?
Yes. Okay. The environment in which you're recording is more important than the microphone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because the microphone you got is not a fantastic microphone. It's okay, but the environment that you're recording space needs to be as dead sounding as possible. You wouldn't believe the number of people who record in closets.
Yeah.
They go into the closet and you're surrounded by clothes and that soaks up all the sound. You don't get any what we call reflections coming off surfaces and things like this. And it will sound like a studio more than recording in a room.
That might be the problem, like the sort of breaking point of frustration that led me to be like, someone help me please, was that everything I recorded back and no matter what I did, it just sounded like amateur and like, I recorded it off my cell phone.
You could spend $25,000 and have the most amazing microphone in the world, but if the space is wrong, it'll sound like trash.
Okay. And so now what I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to just take my laptop and I'll just set up a space in my closet where I can like just sit and just get all the recording in Reaper on my Mac if I can use this microphone. And then maybe that will start to sound closer. That plus some of the, so you're saying record it clean.
Don't put any effects on at all until you're happy with like the editing. Effects is like the last thing you put on. That's like post-production.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know why in my mind I was thinking like the waveform that hits Reaper needs to run through these filters that,
no.
But it's not that. It's
the waveform that goes into Reaper should be exactly what the microphone hears. That will go in clean as possible And then you do all your recording, all your editing, getting all the gaps and making sure everything's perfect. And then you add effects if you need to in post-production. You might not need to.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm starting to think about is like, okay, just while I have you, can I get an idea of how much more of a technical challenge is it going to be if let's say I find an ambiance track that I had to pay for or is royalty free? How complicated was it going to be to mix that against the recorded voiceover?
Not complicated at all. Obviously, the more tracks you add, the more sounds you add, the more complex it's going to get. In Reaper, you would have your recording, and then you just get your effects track and you put that on as a second track.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the mixer down at the bottom there, you can mix them together, so you'd have the effects track much lower. Then you can use things like, if you use a compressor, to keep the voice more even and smooth so that it doesn't go up and down too much. And that helps it sit above the effects as well.
Can you sidechain the compression through?
I was just about to say, if you want to, you can sidechain it. But the problem with sidechaining is if it's too harsh, you don't want it to sound like dubstep or something, you know?
Yeah, like it's ducking.
You don't want the bass bouncing around.
That's so funny that you say that, because that's why I know about sidechaining is that 10 years ago, I in my spare time fiddled around with making electronic music just for fun. And that's how I learned about compression and sidechaining. You
can do that, but it tends to sound a bit strange if the background effects and sounds keep ducking out all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
It's better to do it with EQ, because you can, if you get a perfect EQ of where the voice sits in your EQ spectrum, so which frequencies it sits on, the trick is to slightly boost the frequencies of the voice that sound good, and those exact frequencies, you flip the frequencies so that in the sound effects, those frequencies are slightly lower. The trick is to be very subtle with this.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay. My main thing is that I need to get into a better space. My problem was I don't know why. I wanted to sound like Richard, right? I wanted to sound like, it sounds like when I'm listening to an audiobook, it sounds like it's just coming from everywhere in my headphones.
It's all about the sound design. So one voice can only come from one direction. And it's all about putting that voice in the right place in your head with everything else.
Yeah. And probably part of it was that I was speaking into the top of this thing. And I was constantly fiddling with the system input settings to figure out why it's sounding so thin. And I was running all the effects all at once.
Time spent on making the space good is time well spent. It'll save you hours in post in editing. That
makes a lot more sense. And yeah, even just now I can see the levels on my they're much closer to where they're supposed to be, simply because I'm talking into the right part of the microphone.
Yeah.
Well, this is exactly what I needed. I was having a frustrated moment. I'm like, maybe he'll respond and I can get just a human to help me look at what's going wrong. And this is exactly what I needed. So
I would suggest get the space sorted out, make sure that the mic is done properly, record something, listen to it back, make sure that it is actually sounding okay now. Forget the effects for now, record everything clean.
And again, I appreciate you taking the time to help me out here.
No problem.
I'm a big fan of your content
what I love
as well.
Doing. Thank you very much.
Well, all right. I'm kind of excited now. I'm going to go set up my closet and
go do that.
And I will send you an MP3.
Cool. Well, if you enjoyed that, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the join button if you'd like access to members-only tips and tricks for Reaper and other voiceover shenanigans. And do get in touch if you think a call like this will be helpful for you. And if you want to get your hands on the exact FX chain that Tim downloaded, watch this video next.